morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, October 16th. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? John, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? You, John? Sheriff Gottney, sorry. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start with the sheriff swearing in. Oh, sorry, public comment first. Anybody? Anybody online? Any questions on the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now you're up.
Now it's your turn, John.
Well, thank you, commissioners, for giving us the time to do this. Good morning. Welcome to our swearing in ceremony this morning. This morning is a little bit different than what we've normally done. This is not a new employee. This is an employee that's been around for a while, and I mean for a while, but he's just changing discipline. He started out as a corrections deputy in the jail, and then he applied for an open position. We had a probation or community corrections, and was selected through a competitive process for that. And so today we're here to swear Ken Horton. Ken, you want to come up? First of all, you want to introduce any family members you have here, or friends, or?
I got my wife, Christina.
Any friends?
Oh, thanks. We're a good bunch.
All right, I got a little thing to read about you. Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Okay. Ken Horton came to the Crook County Sheriff's Office in April of 22 with 8 years of correctional experience. He has worked at the Oregon State Penitentiary and at the Deer Ridge Correctional Institute in Madison. Ken began his career with our agency in the jail division as a control tech and was quickly promoted to the corrections deputy position. During his time in the jail, Ken was able to become a field training officer and a taser instructor. Ken met his wife Christina in 2001 when they were both still in high school. They welcomed their daughter April in 2013 and their son Nate in 2017. Ken and his family enjoy camping, fishing, and swimming in Oregon's many lakes and rivers. They also love visiting far-off places, seeing new sights, and experiencing life together. Ken enjoys volunteering as an assistant coach for the Redmond Back Club and coaching both of his kids. He has quickly found his home here in the Sheriff's Office and looks forward to many years with our agent. Hey, ready? Like that. Okay, this first part, you don't have to do anything but stand there and listen. I can do that. You think? The appointment of parole and probation deputy, community corrections division, Sheriff's Office, Crook County, Oregon. State of Oregon, County of Crook. I, John Gottney, Sheriff of Crook County, Oregon, do hereby appoint and constitute Kenneth Horton as a parole and probation deputy for the Crook County Sheriff's Office, Community Corrections Division, in and for Crook County, Oregon. This appointment authorizes the individual to do and perform those acts required of this discipline, which I might perform as sheriff. This appointment to be and remain in full force and effect during my pleasure. Now you can raise your right. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Kenneth Horton,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the ordinances and laws of the county, the ordinances and laws of the county of Crook,
the ordinances and laws of the county of Crook,
and the rules and regulations of the Crook County Sheriff's Office.
and the rules and regulations of the Crook County Sheriff's Office.
And I will well and faithfully
And I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office which I've been appointed
discharge the duties of the office I've been appointed
in and for the county of Crook,
in and for the county of Crook,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
So this was kind of a public swearing in ceremony. We already did his official swearing in, so we don't have to sign anything today. But if you want to have your wife or someone, if you choose to in your bag. That's not very important. I don't think you can really stab him because this. Feel free if you want. Yeah. All right. Congratulations. Nice.
All right, Rebecca, are you ready for your update?
If you don't mind, I'll stand up because otherwise I feel like I'm even shorter than I am. So hopefully you all can hear me and I'm not blocking your view. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to visit with you and update you on the Crook County Foundation and the Holiday Partnership. As a founding partner of the foundation back in 1998, the county is your support, your commitment to us is so important. And of course, John Solis holds the county's founding partner board seat right now. He's been actively involved, especially in Picnic in the Park, and we're glad that he's part of our board. So I'll brief you very briefly on Crook County Foundation and Holiday Partnership. And Steve Waring is our board president. You know him from Parks and Rec. And so then I'll hand the mic over to him. We're kind of the tall and short of it here, I think. So the foundation, we're busy and well. I know in your packet you had an update, so I'll do this just very briefly. Our scholarship program, which has been with us since very early on, has continued to grow thanks to generous donors, both endowed scholarships and annually funded scholarships. And we have such tremendous talent here and dreams and aspirations. So the foundation awarded just about $111,000 in scholarships this past June to graduating high school seniors, as well as students who are continuing their education at colleges, universities, trade schools, and all sorts of dreams, from being a doctor to being a diesel mechanic to a historian to a x-ray tech. Wonderful, wonderful program. We had Picnic in the Park this past summer, 5 concerts, well attended, hugely fun. Our community vitality pillar with Crook County on the Move, various programs to promote health and engagement and healthy eating, and our fiscal sponsorship program. So we are the home, shall we say, for Prineville Music Theater Camp, Patty Pint, the Wetlanders, and the Crook County Cultural Coalition. So we're busy, we're active. We hope that we believe that we're serving our community in lots of ways that are quite productive and move us forward. So Holiday Partnership, which we're here to speak more specifically about, is a program I think that the county knows well. I'm a newcomer to Crook County, but as I understand it, maybe 30 years ago, maybe more than that, the Holiday Partnership came to life and it lived within the county for years. And it's a program, as you know from your commitment, that addresses the needs of families in hardship here in Crook County during the holiday season. It came to the foundation in 2020. That was a tough year, as we all remember. And we wanted to keep, I wasn't here yet, wanted to keep the Holiday Partnership going strong. Our volunteers, and we have 3 of our volunteers here, Nancy, Carol, and Beth, wanted to keep it going, and it came to the foundation. Has been living with us since then. I think of Holiday Partnership as this extraordinary community-wide kind of all hands on deck to make this happen, to ensure that our neighbors, our community members here have holiday meal assistance, pantry staples on their shelves when school's out and kids don't have access to meal programs, and our food banks are on limited schedules or may not even be open for the holidays. And also gifts for kids, adults with disabilities, and seniors. So it's all of us coming together to make sure this happens during the holiday season. Got some numbers here. Last year, we served 650 households here, over 2,000 Crook County residents. And when we talk about holiday partnership as a partnership, it truly is. So many people are engaged. We had 15 businesses last year hosting Trees of Joy, 15,420 non-perishable pantry items were contributed by citizens here in Crook County. And this year, we are off and running. The application process is open, and we have partners filling key roles. Primeville Senior Center has joined us as a partner on the senior gift effort. St. Vincent de Paul and the Rotary and Elks Clubs are partners in the holiday meal and pantry, fresh fruit and vegetable program and the holiday food pantry. And Neighbor Impact and the Crook County Library are helping out with applications. One of the Crook County Foundation doesn't have a brick and mortar location. We needed a place where people could go and get help with applications, and both of those have stepped up. So as I mentioned, our application process is underway through November 15th. Our food barrels for the community food drive will go out at the end of October. Trees of Joys will be out and about around Thanksgiving. And then our distribution days will be in the week of December 16th through the 19th. We deeply appreciate your support of the holiday partnership, and particularly the use of Carrie Foster Hall, as we've been able to use all these years. And I'll hand it over to Steve.
Good morning, commissioners. So I have two asks of you this morning. The first one is to kind of go off of Rebecca's last statement there. We would like to ask the continued generosity of the commission in waiving the fee of the use of the Carrie Foster Hall for this really great community outreach program. And then the second ask this morning is, as a founding partner, and the foundation has kind of missed this over the last few years, and we've added it as part of our strategic focus to continue going to our founding partners and asking for that founding partner contribution. So this year the city paid, it's a $5,000 annual contribution to the foundation. This year the city has paid, they paid actually a back pay of $5,000 and then the $5,000 for this year. And the Parks District budgeted it also and contributed $5,000. So we're coming to you this morning to ask for that $5,000 contribution also. And that goes towards offsetting operating expenses and to help pay for our amazing executive director. And we can keep someone of such high quality running this position. So those are our two asks this morning, and we're available to answer any questions that you have for us.
Okay, my first question is for in the back row of the room, Casey. I was told that sometimes we give things away at the fair and it doesn't work. Does this work in your schedule?
This works in the schedule. It was just the cost recovery. Obviously, we're all focused on cost recovery at the fairground. So historically, this has been a event that the county has waived the fees on. Previous to that, it was owned by the health department, so we didn't charge interdepartmental. So the fee for the hall, if we were just to rent it to, anybody off the street, is $7,644 for the 2 weeks. So.
Okay, but it does fit into your schedule.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, I'd like to make her a donation.
Okay.
Can do it.
So I'm going to do two motions on this. First, that we waive the fee for Carrie Foster Hall. So that was my motion. I make the motion to do that first.
Second that motion.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Your turn.
So are we gonna do 5,000 on top of that? Is that what you're proposing?
I think we have that community fund, and this is what this is for.
Yeah.
And I think that what I have really gotten out of Primeville is how generous they are and how we want people to have food. And I commend that and the gifts. So yes, I think that we are well in our budget with that community fund. And so that, yes, that would be my inclination.
Yeah, because I
Yes,
think
and I was with, I was with Christina.
Have you
so-
checked it? Because I
Yes.
know we've spent.
Is
5
Christina here? Or
It's
Jamie?
another 7 now, 5 before.
Christina's here. We talked about it yesterday. There's a line in the budget. So Christina, could you address the finance part of it? Good.
Yes,
Oh.
sorry, it takes a little while to unmute. We do have funds in the budget for this in the community support fund that was set up this year during the budget process.
How much do we have left?
I'd have to look and double check, but we have plenty to cover this.
Okay. Okay, that was my only concern is that we've been.
Yep, we have plenty, and including all the other things that we had already discussed to
Yeah.
cover this year.
I have a running tab in my head,
Good.
so we're good.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
So we will backfill the fairgrounds from this fund. for
yes,
this.
that was the motion that I made, the first motion that Casey will get his $7,600 towards his budget from the community fund to pay for this. I do have a question though, Casey. When you first gave us our whole thing and it had hospice and it had everybody on there, was this part of it?
Holiday partnership was not on there.
Okay, that would be my only question. If it was already, we'd already had funded it. Okay. Then yes, that was my motion, was to fund that from this. And then if you guys want to make another motion, that's up to you.
I think we should just do the 5, not like the city.
Oh, no,
With
I'm
the
not,
back
yeah,
5.
no, because we are
Because I think
providing.
we are
yes,
providing a home and
Yes,
And we didn't
Right.
ask last year, so
Yeah.
we'll continue to ask.
Yeah.
moving
yes.
forward.
And the fact, so yesterday, because Steve, anyway, and Christina and I talked about this, I do know it is a line on the budget. It's already been accounted for. And that was just for the 5.
Okay. Well, you want to make a motion
I
to,
was waiting for
I
you.
was hoping you'd do it, bro.
Yes, I didn't want to be, the person that makes all the motions. I'm trying to share here. It's a holiday partnership.
And I
I'm trying.
I
to
can't
be a
make a
partner
motion,
here.
so it's either you or her.
Trying to be a partner. There we go.
well, I'm glad to make a motion to donate $5,000 to Holiday Partnership.
This would be for, just for clarification, for foundation,
Yes,
an annual.
For a partnership with the foundation.
Foundation.
yes. Okay. And I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
And we did it in a partnership. There you
Thank
go.
Yeah.
Very much.
We're following your example.
We look forward to continuing working with you guys. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
I'll echo the thanks, and then we also want to thank Casey and the staff at the fairgrounds. They're terrific when we're there.
well, I'd like to thank all your volunteers. I know that all you folks worked very, very hard over the holiday season to take care of these people and without you, they would not have anything under the tree or a lot of times meals. So thank you for doing that.
They're an amazing bunch.
And one of the things that I found from going to food insecurity is those 2 weeks in the holidays are very, very critical, particularly for the children, because there is no school provided meals and that. So I really feel very happy. Like I say, I'm a cook. I want everyone's belly to be full. So that's perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey?
Good morning, Commissioners. Casey Dilly from the Fairgrounds. I'm here to plead my case. My 2007 hand-me-down pickup has had a catastrophic engine failure. And we took it over to King's Auto and got an estimate for a new motor. It was about 14,000 and some change. I consulted Will and Christina, and the decision was made that it's probably not worth putting that much money into. So they asked me to go out and get 3 bids, which are in your packet. And I would be asking the commission to consider approval of the Kendall Ford bid. It's not the highest and it's not the lowest. It's right in the middle, but for the sake of convenience and not having to travel to Klamath Falls or Madras to have it serviced, that would be my recommendation to the commission. This pickup is set up to haul our gooseneck, which is the other piece. We're kind of dancing with one arm behind our back right now because we have nothing to pull it with. So that was a pretty critical piece.
Looks good to me.
Yeah.
How much of the $2 million grant as Christina or Jamie do we have left on that? Oh, okay, perfect. All right, I make a motion to purchase or do a replacement for the Ford F-350 pickup. Is I'm right there on that? Yeah, you're
Yes.
replacing it from Kendall Ford.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'll second and add it for the value of $49,301.17.
And I take that amendment
Any discussion?
or accept it, I guess.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Jackie?
Commissioners, I'll start this off for Jackie. This is probably more appropriately a work session item, but we don't have the luxury of time. We got a notice from our provider for our septage waste in the county. The Sproats doing business as Two Springs Ranch sent us a termination notice effective Christmas Eve of this year. And so the purpose today is to kind of look at what we're facing as far as getting this thing transferred so we can continue to provide the service for the community. The major issue that we're looking at is getting the DEQ WCPF permit transferred back to the county or to the new operator. I will let Jackie talk about kind of the logistics of what we're looking at.
So the septic treatment facility at the landfill services all septic pumping companies within Crook County, as well as portable toilet services. Without the facility, there's no place for them to dump that waste. So yeah, currently Two Springs Ranch leases that facility. They operate it and land apply the treated septic at their ranch. They did sell the ranch and are retiring. So we got notice, and I've been trying to come up with a couple ideas that might work for the county. One of those options would be for the landfill to take that treatment facility back over. There's some budgetary constraints to that. We weren't prepared for this. We don't have a pumper truck. We don't have the spreading equipment. The cost of lime, we'd have to hire more staff. So those are some issues. We do have about 80 acres that was pre-approved back in, I believe, the early 2000s. There was also some property out Milliken that was a generous amount. It was about 550 acres that the county had that was also approved as part of that permit to land apply. Those lots were sold years ago, so we no longer have that. I currently have about 80 acres left that was pre-approved. On the map that I found, there's also 2 sites listed to the south of Houston Lake Road. I do not know if they're available. The county still owns those, but those were also part of that original septic plan that we might be able to utilize. So that's one option for the county to take that fully back over. Cost of a pumper truck is roughly $120,000 for a used one, about $300,000 for a brand new one. The Sproats have offered their tractor and spreading equipment for sale for about $50,000. They have a couple tanks sitting that they're willing to give back to the county that they need to get rid of. They would donate those. And then we would just have operational costs. Another idea would be for a second company, which has shown interest in the past, and they already were in the works with the Sproats to take over that lease agreement, hopefully. It's Dan and Dusty Stenkamp. They're the owners of Muck Septic and Superior Sanitation. They are interested in the lease. They are actively seeking property at the moment. They thought they had some more time, but they are out seeking property. They are interested in leasing the operation from the county and land applying on our property if that's available, just for the short term. They have 2 trucks available currently. They are willing to hire all the staff, pay for everything, and just basically run it, but use our property to land apply. The third option, which I spoke to Casey Kaiser at the city, would be to see if we could treat the septic at our facility and then truck it down to their septic treatment plant. Casey's looking into it. I haven't heard back from him. He has to look into their permit, what their facility is capable of doing. He said they do take a very minimal amount, kind of on an emergency basis. So he's looking into it. He needs more time. But like John said, this is time sensitive. So just trying to get a feel for what the commission might want to try and do as far as a solution.
There any commercial companies that pick that up like Refuge and haul it
Somewhere
out of the
else.
area, you know?
No.
I mean,
No. And using Deschutes County is not an option either. They currently are, with the growth of Deschutes County, they're out of room, constantly shutting off their portable trucks for periods of time. So Deschutes County is not an option for us either.
If the county were to take it over, how many employees would we need to run this?
One for
Right.
sure, possibly two.
Okay, so possibly 2 full-time positions.
Yes.
So that needs to be taken into consideration just besides the equipment, which puts the costs up way more.
Yes.
And what would our recovery be as far as costs?
Um,
Would it be? I mean,
I don't have the
Okay.
full numbers available to you for, but I can tell you. Sorry.
It's in the memo to the current agreement. We get 12.5 cents per gallon, and currently 9 of that goes to Two Springs Ranch. So it would
Last
depend on
year-
volume.
Last year, we paid Two Springs Ranch roughly $289,000. So that if the county took that over, that would potentially roll into revenue for the landfill. But again, you'd be taking out operating costs.
yeah, it'd be a while.
Yeah, it'd be a while before we could recoup.
So what does your gut tell you would be the best option?
I'm not interested in septic. I know nothing about that. I've been with the landfill for almost 20 years and that was leased out before my time. I just go off of history and kind of what I know. It's quite the process. It's very time consuming and it's very costly. My gut would be to, if we could work with a company to lease it back out, that it has worked great and I would like to continue to do that.
Are there certain controls that ensure that they have all their licenses and that they're doing it right? Or I guess, do we get in trouble if they don't? What's the angle there? That's what I would be most concerned if somebody else was doing it, that they were doing the right job and not poisoning somebody or.
The current setup is that the DEQ license is with Two Springs Ranch. In discussions with DEQ, basically the short-term solution at least would be to have the permit back with us. We could have a third party operating it like the MUX, but we would still be liable for all the reporting and the liability with the permit in the interim. I don't know. They didn't mention if we had the ability to then transfer that permit to MUC in the long term, so it wouldn't be on us like it would be under the interim solution.
what's Jefferson County do?
That I'm not sure of. They had a plant there years ago and they did away with it. So I don't know if they're utilizing Deschutes County or not. There was 2 years ago, there's a resource recovery group that came about that was looking at a septic treatment facility for all of Central Oregon. They went out and did a survey and did some background work and I haven't heard anything else about it. That was when Jeff Hurd was here. We were on a conference call. They were looking to make sure all of the tri-counties utilized that facility. I know the Sprouts at that time were not having an issue servicing Crook County residents or companies, so they did not want to participate in having to use that facility. I don't know if anything's ever come out of that.
I like having the other company do it, but make sure we have protections for the county. That's my biggest.
So how hard so the county is the one that applies to DEQ for the permit. And then this other company, MUC, whatever they are, come in and we are able to transfer that permit, but we still take the liability on?
That wouldn't mean transferring the permit yet. That would just mean contracting a third party to do the services, but we would
Under
still
our
be
permit.
under our permit.
So
But
we're not getting rid of any liability or anything
but in
there.
the long term, that might be different, like we had it before where, because the permit was originally ours, as far as my understanding goes, and we did transfer that permit to Two Springs 20-some years ago. And so I think we could do that again, but DEQ is giving us kind of short-term solutions we can get done by Christmas Eve. And so I think the process would be we take the permit over temporarily and then work to transfer it to Muck.
Okay, so what kind of liability, I mean, obviously, what kind of liability would we be sticking our neck out for? I mean, it's sewage, I understand. I'm not, like, we did a sewage haul to LA, where we hauled sludge out of LA to Mojave. And we were movers, so what kind of liability do you see that we would be incurring? Give me an example of what that would be. And would it be a disease, or where are we on that?
I believe it would be the upkeep of the facility there, you know, making sure
That
there's
it
no
stays-
spills or
okay.
anything like that.
Okay.
We also would have to make sure that the material is treated down to the pH level that's necessary to neutralize it before it is land applied. And then you can only land apply a certain amount of gallons to so many
Acres.
So the last number I got from the Sprouts was roughly a little over 11,000 gallons of treated material. They spread on about 29 acres a month. So it requires quite a bit of land. I know their ranch is 660 acres and they utilize 400 to 450 for this septic land application.
So liability wise, if they were not upkeeping the equipment, we would have to go in and upgrade the equipment ourselves to prevent. DEQ would actually, we would be the ones, we would try to lean on this other company, but the ball would come back to us, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think most of your liability just really lies on making sure they're treating the
They're doing it right.
sewage and land
Yeah.
applying it necessary. I know their trucks right now that they have sitting that are available are permitted and DOT approved, so the trucks are not an issue.
Okay.
If we did obtain the tractor and spreading equipment from the Sprouts, that's running, operational. They're using it right now, so we don't have any issues there. I think most of the liability is just making sure that they treat it and land apply it as needed. Utilizing a septic company that already deals with pH levels and things like that. They already have the knowledge, so that's another reason I'm leaning more towards.
So where does
Party?
Muck, where do they work? Where have they worked before? I guess basically.
Crook County and Deschutes County.
Okay, so
And
they're,
they probably some in Jefferson, but they're our largest hauler at the moment.
okay.
Well, it sounds like we need to get the license thing done first. That's the most important thing. And continue the conversation with the parties to take care of the sewage. Do we have to go out and seek competitive bids for it, or can we just point it?
My understanding, I would need to double check, but my understanding from reading the rules on waste in this state is that we have more freedom to contract directly. So I think we'd be able to do this without doing a full-on RFP. I think land is going to be a long-term issue though, because I don't think, Jackie, I don't think that 80 acres that we have at the landfill is going to work.
It's not. I would have to probably seek some other option. I'm set to have DEQ come out to look at our facility and see if we have property at the landfill that we can utilize as well.
Because what if they don't find land?
Muck.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's just another concern. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that is a big concern. They think they can, but nothing's out there that they can do.
But I'd say we're in the same position.
Well,
If
we
the
are in the
DEQ
same
doesn't
position.
expand it, then we'll,
Yeah.
not on top of the vehicles and employees, we'll have to buy land too,
Yes.
or lease it or find a way. So I don't know. I think Jackie seems comfortable with these people. I think we move forward. But keep an eye on it, make sure we don't have any red flags. That's what I think is the best
I think it would probably look like an interim agreement with Muck if we went that route, where they would be applying it on our land on those 80 acres while they
Yeah.
had to get their ducks in order to get their own land, and then it'd be a long-term agreement where they then take over the permit and they have their own land, and it's a similar process to what we have now with Two Springs Ranch.
So do we need action right now, or are we still determining? Or I mean, we need to figure out if the 80 acres is even doable right now? Where are we in this process? Because it sounds like it's not good on any option.
There's like 4 sets of forms that we need to send to DEQ, and I haven't taken a look at any of those to see how
Okay.
I'm going to put together.
It does require a septic management plan update. I did talk to the Sproats. There's just a couple differences in like the size of the tanks and things that they've changed since that original plan. They're willing to help get that changed over also if needed. So, yeah.
So what is your suggestion, John?
I don't know if we need I don't know if we need a motion today, but we definitely put this on the radar and get your guys' thoughts. I think we go back to DEQ. We start taking a look at these forms and what this process is going to look like. We start talking to Muck and figure out where they are on finding land, and bring to mind to them the idea of 2 separate agreements. And then we come to you with things kind of fully fleshed out in a few weeks here. Then for action by the board as far as signing documents or that kind of thing.
Okay. And we need to find out if that 80 acres is even capable, or
The 80 acres sounds promising.
yes, but it's not a firm
It's not
thing.
going to be enough.
That would
So-
be my first concern, because even Muck may not be able to move fast enough for us. So we need to have a place to dispose of
Yeah.
it.
So I'll be asking the DEQ to see if we have other property already on the landfill site that we can expand.
Okay.
Maybe we can just find out from Jefferson County what they're doing with it,
Okay.
or, because it's liquid form. So it's easy to transport. I would
So-
think there was somebody that was gonna,
Did the Sprouts disc get in, or how, I mean, you said they used 400 acres. What did they, like us, we hauled it to Mojave Desert. No one cared, but what happens? What did they do with when they put the sludge out? Do they disc it into the ground? Is it usable, or that strip's gone? I'm not really.
So from my understanding is they either use their pumper truck that has a fabricated, it's like a trough with a attachment on the back, which creates a spreader bar,
Mhm.
and
They
they just
spread it.
spray it. Or the same thing with their tractor that has a tow behind tank that has a sprayer bar attachment to it, and they just spray it. And then, they're responsible for mapping out. We've applied on this part of our property over time. I don't know what the exact details are, but I know you can't spread on that same piece until a certain amount of time has lapsed. And that I'm not sure.
So
the
they're
details.
constantly just circulating that 400 acres. Is
Yes.
what they're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
you can't raise fruit and vegetables on it.
Well, no, you can't raise anything for human consumption, but can you do what they're doing up there at Portamoro? Remember how they're putting waste out on a pivot, and then you could put animals on it, is how they were doing it. They were using the water to go into a pivot, and then I'm assuming they were putting the sludge into the soil, and then they were grazing. And that could be, it could be a secondary consumption thing,
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's
but it
either
had to be secondary.
Grazing or hay production.
Or yeah, that was what they were doing up there, which was very interesting the way they did it, because they were basically utilizing both the products. This is what happens when your past revisits you. Okay,
Great. I think we
Thank you,
got I
Jackie.
think we got a track here, so. To be continued.
To be continued.
Perfect. You gotta get closer to your microphone, Brian.
I didn't say anything.
What you did.
Okay.
Hi, Jamie.
Hello. For the record, Jamie Berger, Budget Manager for Crook County. I have in your packet Order 2024-44. It's a budget resolution for our current fiscal year. This one's fairly straightforward, but we're proposing budget adjustments for the county to accept revenue and adjust expenditure appropriations for county funds this year in order to improve compliance with the fund balance requirements outlined in our fiscal policy, specifically for the Sheriff's Office Fund. These changes will increase the contingency for the Sheriff's Office Fund and with the goal of improving operational sustainability for future years. In particular, we're doing this by pulling back some appropriation for personnel. The Sheriff's Office had identified positions that were currently unfilled that they would choose not to fill this year so that we can roll those dollars into next year's budget. So that savings for both the patrol division and jail would be moving to contingency. Along with that, the budget committee through the course of the budget process, had asked that whatever taxable assessed value above our estimate, which we had anticipated a 4% growth in property taxes this year. We have those official numbers now, and they had asked that we flow any additional to the Sheriff's Office Fund. So this budget resolution recognizes the intentionality of saying the $117,000 of additional taxes above our original estimate would be going to the Sheriff's Office Fund. And so then we are also appropriating that in contingency so that it would roll over into next year. So that is what this does. Do you have any questions about it?
Nope.
Okay, so I will
Jamie.
move over so that public can comment if they'd like to.
Now I know why everybody's here.
Y'all want to comment on the budget?
We'll open the public hearing. Anybody out there? Anybody online? Public hearing closed. Any discussion? Or I guess we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the budget resolution for fiscal year 2024-25, order 2024-44.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jamie. All right, Cheryl's up.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, for the record, this is Cheryl Seeley, your county clerk and your election official. She's going to pull us up a little presentation that I prepared. This is on the ranked choice voting, which is measure 117, which will be on your ballot, which ballots are in the mail today. So they will be arriving soon. So Sarah, you can go to the first slide. So just to be clear, about the presentation. So I'm here as your county clerk and your election official to bring awareness as to what measure 117 will do if passed and the impacts it will have on Crook County. And I'm not here to advocate for or against this measure through this presentation. So, okay. So this measure was originally House Bill 2004, and it was introduced in the 2023 legislative session. The legislature voted to refer this House bill to the voters on this November 5th ballot. So this is measure 117. And so if it passes, the new bill is going to establish ranked choice voting as a voting method for selecting winners in primary and general elections in the offices of president, senator, congressional representative, governor, secretary of state, treasurer, and attorney general. So your state senators and your state representatives are not included in that, what would switch to ranked choice voting. They would remain as their regular single choice voting.
Why do you think they did that, Cheryl? Why, if they're doing this, why do you think they left the state out? Just to leave the state totally out, or?
I can feel that.
I know that Benton County and the city of Corvallis have implemented some ranked choice voting and have been through a few elections with that. So some of the main sponsors of this came out of that area, so they have seen it in action.
Okay.
I believe, I'm not certain.
I'm gonna go a different tack than you are and come
Okay.
out strongly against it.
Yeah.
And say that the reason they didn't do it is because they didn't want to have to go through the process on their own.
Well,
And I think it's a horribly written bill and it's a horrible situation for voters that your vote may no longer be
the vote,
the vote that you get.
Yeah.
There's so many problems and I think those people are not as dumb as we think. And they understand that by doing that, they would put themselves in jeopardy of losing
their job.
elections and their jobs. And so I think it should be
I mean,
thrown out. If these people don't want to do it, then nobody should have to do
no,
it.
and
It's interesting
It
that
should be all or nothing.
included themselves.
Total joke.
you've explained this to me twice and I still don't really get it.
Well,
I mean, I'm sorry.
you'll
and I,
see some more stuff. You'll probably
okay,
get it.
and I just don't expect me to get it the third, I
You
just,
may not, but.
yeah, it's a very hard thing,
It
but
is.
let's go through.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. So this bill's also going to authorize your cities, your counties, your metropolitan service districts, local government and local service districts to use this ranked choice voting to elect candidates for office if they choose. And then it will become operative January 1st of 2028. So it does give us some time to implement it because it's a large undertaking to implement. So what exactly is ranked choice voting? So ranked choice voting is an election method in which voters rank candidates for an office in order of their preference. So you have a first choice, second choice, third choice, and so on. The ranking of the candidates is very different from simply just selecting one candidate. So if a candidate receives the most votes, and that is the majority of the votes cast, which is 50% plus one, then that candidate wins, just like any other election. However, if there's no majority vote winner, after counting the first choices, then the race is decided by an instant runoff or the ranked choice. So the candidate then with the fewest votes is eliminated. So if you were ranking 6, the 6th place person is eliminated and all of those votes, those ballots are looked at for their second choice. And then those are distributed and so on and so forth until you have a 50% plus one winner. So we'll see it in action here in just a little bit. So you can hit the next slide. So this is kind of what it's going to look like on ballot. These are just a couple ballot samples. One's coming out of Multnomah and the other is out of Benton County. They've, as you can see, they're both ranking different numbers. That's yet to be determined too.
playing
Are we
bingo or
going
are
to
they
rank
voting?
3? Are we going to rank 5? Are we going to rank 6? That's going to have to come in administrative rule that's written, which will be something the clerks will have a seat at the table, but we'll have a voice, but we're not the ultimate decider. So, but that's kind of what it'll look like. So it's going to take up a lot of space on the ballot. Plus you're going to have, regular choices like your Benton County, when they're on the left, you'll actually have, your, they have, because this is just one of their samples from a prior election. So they have the regular way that we vote, and then they'll have the ranked choice. So you'll have kind of some mixed stuff. So it's just, we will probably end up going, almost guarantee you we're going to go to a 2-page ballot.
What if there's like 4 or 5 elections with this thing? Wouldn't it be like a 5-page ballot?
It could be, for some counties, it could be. We do our best to get it on a single sheet of legal paper with still making it readable font size wise. I lay those ballots out and it's quite a process to get it to fit right with the timing marks and everything. But going to this method, the system will do it, but we may be looking at some elections where we're looking at 3-page ballots. I don't know. So, it's going to be fun. Okay, next slide. So, and this is kind of, this is from the Center for Civic Design. That's kind of just a little spell out of kind of how that worked. So in round 1, of course, your votes are tabulated. And then as you can see, candidate A only has 40%. They don't meet that 50% plus 1. So then you'd have to go to the ranking process. And you can go to the next slide. And that kind of shows if they rank them, and then they were looked at, the candidate D was eliminated. So then we go to, or actually candidate B was eliminated. So we go to all of those ballots with that voted for candidate B and their first choice, and we look at their second choice. Those are distributed. If there's still not a 50% plus one, then you just keep going until that, until you get a 50% plus one vote.
So what if you're a person and you don't believe, and you just vote for one guy?
You
Then
can
your
vote for
vote,
one and that's fine.
but your vote just,
It stays with that one. You're in that
Okay.
40% range in that first round. And
then you're just out, basically.
Well, but it
'Cause
stays
you're
with
not
that
gonna
one
say-
unless that one gets kicked out.
Yeah, but I'm
And
saying,
then you've lost your ability to
yeah,
vote.
if you're kicked out, if you're in the least.
right, if you
you're
voted
done.
for B candidate and then it's gone, I mean, it's
You're
gonna
done.
go to your C, but if you vote
No.
for that first one, I mean, it's still gonna be your choice.
Yeah, I get it.
It
but
just
yeah.
may not be your first choice. It may be your second choice or your third choice.
What she,
your fourth
Cheryl, what she's saying is if
Okay.
she votes for only one person.
Only one, then that's
Then
And
it's
they're
gone.
thrown out, my vote
Then
is gone.
You've lost your ability to
Yeah.
vote in that election, even though you
right,
tried.
right. Yeah, if you voted for, right, candidate that's eliminated. Yeah.
Total
Okay.
hoax.
So if you hit the next slide, that one has, if you want to click on that, that has a little video from Multnomah and it covers a little bit more, but it's good for us to see it and hear it. And this will be something we will have to put together for voter education as well. But this is because Multnomah is actually doing it for some of their
Didn't
local
they have a video from a
races. Well, there's
County
covered,
besides
there's
Multnomah?
covered the most. Theirs was the best done out of about 8 of them that I looked at. Yeah,
It's like listen
play
to
that.
California instead of Texas.
I know, but it covers the most information. We don't have volume. Sound would be great.
That up to go through the computer this way.
Okay. Well,
This may have to.
I was gonna say the sound is important, but that's okay. It's showing you that you're ranking them. And that's what they're voting on in November. That's what they're gonna be ranking. So this first part really doesn't mean a whole lot to us. Here's how you do it. So it gives you your ballot styles. And then you're going to mark your ballot, first choice, second choice, third choice, and so on. And then those votes are tallied.
A little bit of sound.
Yeah, sound is really helpful because it covered a lot of stuff, and I think it covers. Yeah, and you'll still have the ability to do a write-in. And I think this one covers, yeah, there we go. What if you skip a rank? Then if it goes to your ranking, then all of a sudden it moves.
3 becomes 2.
3 becomes 2, whatever. And that may be something that's determined in rule. I'm not sure. Same if you voted for, like that one, you had your third ranking, you got 2 in there. We had heard that entire candidate race would be thrown out, but this one shows where they would just delete that and then move the prior ones up. So again, that's something that's in rule, but it'll be confusing. So yeah. And then this is, if you make a mistake, you can fix that. That's, a simple thing. We still do that now. So.
How much is it? So you have to buy an entire new software
I
system,
have to buy
don't
a
you?
package to expand my system, and I'll get to that. So then here's another one. We were dealing with just a single winner and how they were distributed. But if you had if our city decided to opt into this, you have to choose 3 candidates for city council. You're not voting for just one. So then it gets really complicated when you're picking out 3. This next little part shows that, but without the volume, it's kind of hard to get the full effect of it, but that's a good one to watch sometimes. So Sarah, you can just kind of flip through that and but that's a good one to watch. You can find it on YouTube and different places. So, but back to our slides. So Secretary of State's office is going to adopt the rule to define the number of candidate choices to be ranked. There will be other processes that'll need to be in place, either whether by rule or jurisdictional process. So, like a lot of election stuff, they give us, here's the kind of goalposts that you have to go through or the different steps you have to get there. But some of the details on how you get there is kind of up to us as a county, so, or up to my office. So we will see how much they put in rule for us. Some of those things that are going to are a big concern that will need to be in rule is, of course, how the ballot choices, ranking choices are tabulated at the final ranking. So at the local level, we would do round one, and then all of those candidates that you saw, state and federal and all of that, because we share them with other counties, I mean, because it's statewide, all of that is going to have to be transported to a single place to be ranked. So it's going to bring Secretary of State's office into counting the final tabulation on anything that needs to be ranked that covers anything more than just Crook County.
So I think for the crowd, let's clarify that will mean that we'll no longer be counting the votes for Crook County in Crook County. Those will be moving to Salem.
Yeah, we count them here, but then we'll send our cap.
The next round, but the
The
next round would
round.
then, but the
How it's
next round would then
distributed
be
is out of my hands.
totally out of our hands.
I won't be doing any of the ranking, basically.
Is that gone?
So no, so we will still have the closed primaries. So your primary election, you will have the ranking. So, you know, Republicans, Democrats will have that with others. But when you get to a general election, like now, you're going to have a Republican candidate, a Democrat candidate, and then all the different minor parties that have nominated candidates. So, you know, you may see 6 different candidates, but they're not going to be 2 from the same party. Because that's the way Oregon closed primaries work.
So Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Libertarians are all in that column.
You're all gonna have, yep, so you're gonna pick your whatever, and then you're gonna,
Communists and.
you're gonna pick, yeah, whatever the minor parties are that have nominated. Yeah, yeah. As long as you're doing this with a closed primary, it makes it, it makes it a little bit more complicated, so. So, but again, that ranking process will not be something that the county does unless we decide to do county candidates or city candidates, something that's completely within my jurisdiction. Everything else will have to go to the state. So that's going to bring in a whole group of staff at the Secretary of State's office. It's going to create a whole new department. So funding that, equipment, staff, all of that, that's going to be a big issue. The other thing that they're going to have to discuss is how those overvotes are treated. And like I'd said, we were told originally that if you voted for 2 in rank 2, then your entire vote for that whole race is thrown out. I mean, it doesn't count because it's an overvote. This one in Multnomah showed it where they just pulled that ranking out, and all of your 3rd rank moved to 2nd, 4th moved to, you know, everything just moved up. That's going to be something that will have to be decided in rule how that works. Our logic and accuracy testing, which we do several times before, and we do it after the tabulation. And that's to test our equipment to make sure our equipment's tabulating correctly. That's going to be kind of tough because I can only test my part. I can't test the ranking part. So that kind of takes that out of my hands, and that bothers me. So, and of course, the other thing that's going to have to be discussed is how final audits are done, the automatic hand counts, our risk limiting audits, all of that sort of thing. How do I audit those final steps, or will I even have the ability to audit those final ranking steps? I can only audit what has taken place in my office. So, and the Oregon Association of County Clerks will be very much a part of the rulemaking process. Because, you know, we want this to be transparent. We want this to work properly. We want this to be something that everybody understands. And so we're doing everything we can to work on it. So you can go to the next one. So some of the big concerns for the county is, of course, the increased cost for the county for the tabulation software upgrade. So right now, Oregon uses 4 different tally software systems. We are in the group of the majority of the tabulation system is a clear ballot system. Majority of the counties have that, but we will have to upgrade ours. So I don't have to buy new. I just have to buy an upgrade package, which a couple years ago they had told us could run anywhere from 20 to 50,000. With the cost of everything, I'm estimating that probably up in that for sure 40, 50,000 range. And that's just our system to upgrade. And then we will have ongoing costs every year because for ballot printing, we may be looking at 2-page ballots, so that will double that cost. Same with our mail processing, so our postage will increase. The insertion process, we have a company that inserts all those ballots into the envelopes and processes those for us. And so that will more than likely double. So, and then we'll have increased costs and staffing as well. And then we'll have to have some voter education, and because we want to maintain community trust in the whole election process. So we're going to have to start that at least a year in advance. And it'll be creating videos. It will be trying to do demos. It will be doing as much as we can. There are some nationwide companies that will help. I've seen them at some of our conferences. There is a ranked choice voting nonprofit that will help provide, posters and media and some things like that. But I haven't dug deep into that yet. So, and of course, some of the biggest concerns is testing that ranking portion of the system. And then ballot layout, we talked about that, the space needs and the various types of voting per ballot. We'll need additional staff in our office, probably just to handle the confusion and the phone calls, but the education piece will be big. And then the process, even processing 2 ballots, I have never seen that done. So if you have somebody that returns page 1 and not page 2, or somebody that returns page 2 and not page 1, and we don't know who those are because of the way we extract them from the envelope. So it makes.
Maybe you could just make them really long.
It may, yeah, I know.
Script that you could
In an
just.
accordion, it's
Yeah,
a 4-foot
yeah.
ballot. Yeah. I don't know. So, and then of course, like I said, ranking will not be done at the local level. Secretary of State's office will have to add a department and staff for that. And then we will have some potential intergovernmental agreements and coordination with other counties on shared districts if it gets down to the district level, because we have some shared districts. So anybody have any questions?
Who actually is for this?
They're actually I've seen several commercials, and I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing is that those folks feel that it gives you more choices. So instead of being only able to choose one candidate, I'm going to rank 3. So my first choice didn't win, but my second choice might win because I preferred a second choice over, somebody further down, and more people, preferred that one, ranked them a little bit higher. I'm
just
not
seems-
sure.
it seems like
confusing
another-
still to me that it's.
Another level of bureaucracy. We're going to increase the Secretary of State's office. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's all, I just think it's foolish. It's a waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Right. Well, and
I just
then they
don't
looked
even
at
get
about
it.
$10 million statewide to upgrade the systems, the initial rollout.
Yeah, but
And then
then,
about $2 million increase statewide just to keep this going. So
Yeah.
there are some counties that have equipment that can't be upgraded. A lot of the little smaller rural counties have to buy an entire new system, which can run, 80 to 100,000 plus then the upgrade on it. So, because their system isn't upgradable. So,
Well-
and there is no funding in place for this. So that's where it's going to hit us. Hopefully there will be something, but in the long run, even if it comes out of state funds, it's still coming out of our
out of our back pocket is where it's coming out of.
Yeah.
They constantly talk about trying to get more people to vote and more engaged in the system, and then they come up with this
Yeah.
card Monty that
Right. We do feel as a
Total
Clerks
joke, and
Association
anybody
Yep.
that doesn't understand it isn't going to feel.
Isn't
comfortable
gonna-
voting,
yeah.
You're going to have less and less voters.
they'll have less turnout. That's kind of what we feel as well, that there will probably be
I would
less.
probably argue less and less turnout in rural Oregon too.
Yeah.
Well, and look at the
I think
smaller
that might
counties.
be their.
Look at the expense to the smaller counties.
Yeah,
It's
it's rough.
horrendous.
And some of the smaller counties are already, you're already operating on a tight budget. So you've got to spend another,
Yeah.
30, 40, $50,000 every year on elections, or even more per election. We're looking at probably at least 30,000 per election. That's 60,000. And that's the ongoing. That's not the initial part. So, that money has to come from somewhere else in the county, because state and federal candidates, they don't pay for elections. The county pays for it.
Now, you had told me, and I'd like you to tell the public how there are states that have this and they're already going through the process to throw it out.
So there's 2 states that have it statewide. Alaska is statewide and Maine is statewide, and Alaska has something on the ballot to repeal it. right now. So, and they've not been doing it very long. There are other cities, I have been told City of San Francisco has done it for years. I know there's a city or county in New Mexico that does it. I actually spoke with their clerk back at an international conference a year and a half ago. And she told me, if you're looking at doing this, voter education, spend all the money you can spend on educating your voters, get out there, make sure everybody knows the process and understands it before they get that ballot in their hand. So, and that, that's tough anymore to get information out to folks. You've got, all kinds of different avenues and, there's not just, newsprint, and try to explain this in newsprint. It's not gonna,
No,
I have a hard time following videos.
no,
I'm a very visual person, so.
no.
Okay, well, thank you so much for giving
Thank you,
us.
Cheryl. I'm not sure if the third time I even understand it, but
Yeah.
maybe a little bit
But-
better.
Well, if you saw that with the sound on it, it does help a little bit.
Okay.
It kind of makes some better sense of the process.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for all you do.
Sure, thank you.
Susie?
Oh, I guess it is me. Okay, as you, well, maybe you don't know, I go every month to the Food Insecurity Committee, which is growing, and it's a group of ladies, and they just share basically food and things to keep everybody full in Crook County. And so one of the things is the Giving Plate has come to Crook County. They come on Saturdays. They at first were only coming one Saturday a month, and they have now increased it to 4 Saturdays a month that they're coming, and they serve children, and it's healthy snacks, fruits, vegetables, those sort of things. So I was asked in the committee if we as the county could write a thank you, because they have increased their participation here. And so I have a letter, which basically is thanking Giving Plate for coming. In 2022, they distributed 776,500 pounds of food, which is the equivalent of 501,000 meals. And by serving over 1,000 families monthly through their grocery program, they're providing nourishment, but also delivering hope and dignity. And when the children come up to the Giving Plate, to their mobile thing, they're not asked about money or any of that. They are just given the food. So this is a thank you that I hope you also will join me in signing, that we can send to thanking them for their increased presence in Crook County.
Yeah, no, I especially think it's important to feed the kids, so.
Yeah, and I thank you for writing the letter, taking the time, the interest to share that.
Okay.
Entertain a motion?
I make a motion that we sign the letter for giving, what is it? The Giving Plate team.
And I second the motion. Sorry.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, perfect.
Will, you got anything? Okay, I got a couple things. Had a really good talk with Senator Ron Wyden last Friday. We've got some issues coming up with FEMA and floodplains, and them stopping the ability to redevelop our community for people to build on their properties, and just another example of kind of federal agencies gone wild. And I had a really good conversation with him, and he believes with all the FEMA activity out of Florida, this might be a really good time to say, hey, let's pump the brakes on this and see what's going on. And so Will and myself and a few other counties throughout the state are putting together specific properties and specific issues that would arise by this new testing system and what that would mean to property owners. So to be continued, but I think we're putting together a package for him to deliver to the Senate and by the end of the month. So anything else?
Nope.
Susie?
No.
Okay. All right, wrapping up with a public comment at the end here. Anybody have anything? The Crook County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session under ORS 1926602E for the purpose of conducting deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. under RS 1926602A to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent under ORS 1926602H, consulting with the council concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject session is previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, return to open session. Welcome the audience back into the room. Crook County Board of Commissioners will allow leave executive session under RS 1926602E for the purpose of conducting deliberations for persons to enable everybody to negotiate real property transactions, RS 1926602A, to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, RS 1926602H, consulting with counsel concerning legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Representatives and news media designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All our members of the audience are asked to leave the rooms. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except the state decision subject to sessions previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, return to open session, welcome the audience back into the room. Should I start with this first one?
Mhm.
For the record, at the beginning of our 2A executive session, the board was handed a letter from Will Van Vactor stating that he had submitted an application for the county manager position and would recuse himself from any further involvement in the recruitment. He also recommended appointing Easton County Council John Eisler to take over the recruitment. Accordingly, I'd like to make a motion to remove Will Van Vactor from the county manager recruitment, Assistant County Council John Eisler to lead and coordinate the recruitment with GMP consultants from here forward.
So move.
I
You want a second since you
I
did
second.
it?
I think I actually moved.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On that same two, I'd recommend a motion for staff to proceed as directed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other,
For 2E, I don't think there's any motion. We'll bring that back for future consideration.
Okay, okay.
anything
And
else?
for the 2H, another motion to direct staff to proceed as directed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned?
Go for it. Okay.